We haven't seen the final text yet, but what is expected is that there will be a short agreement that will come from the ministers. And most likely what that is that there will be a new working group will be established that will have 3 or 4 years to negotiate some new agreement, and it'll be an agreement that affects all of the countries. Not simply the rich industrialised countries, but it's something that will incorporate all of the countries. So already we can see that the fundamental principle of common but differentiated responsibilities has been lost. It means that all countries will be treated equally, whether you're a victim of climate change or whether you're the biggest polluter in the world, that all countries will be part of this new framework. What that means is that there are, at least for the next 4 years, there are no targets. There are no binding emission reduction numbers for the biggest polluters. There is no commitment to agree to mitigation or reducing greenhouse gas emissions that is consistent with what the scientists are telling us. So I think the result here is extremely bad. And I think the only way that you can possibly understand why it's reached this point is that countries aren't negotiating for their citizens. They're not negotiating for nature or for the survival of human species or for protecting ecosystems. They're negotiating for financial and economic interests. And so what they're always doing is making that calculation about how much will it cost them to reduce the greenhouse gas emissions, and what does that mean in terms of their economic competitiveness or their economic advantage. And of course, it's not the governments that are running the economy. I mean, the governments are just making up the rules by which the economies are being organised. It's the corporations that are running the economies, and it's the interests of the corporations, it's the interests of the oil companies, it's the interest of the steel industry, the transport sector, of the car industry, it's the coal industry. I mean, it's the interests of all of the big established corporations that are locking us into a fossil economy. And at the same time, we can see that there are other interests, like the financial sector, which is really trying to expand the market mechanisms, the carbon markets. So they're trying to put everything into the financial sector because there's money to be made on speculation and trading in the carbon markets. So rather than putting limits, taxes, regulations to say, okay, we have to actually reduce the amount of fossil fuels that we consume, and these are the annual amounts by which we have to reduce consumption, they're saying, okay, we just use the markets, and it's a free-for-all. It's really a kind of feral capitalism that there are no limits, there are no rules. The biggest and the most powerful, the ones who get the most, and who cares? We've seen here that there is this contempt for people. It's as if people are disposable. That what happens to farmers, to fishers, to people living in Africa, to people living in the coastal regions of Asia, to people living in the headwaters of the Indus River, they're unimportant. It doesn't matter to them. They can just be abandoned, and really what's driving this agenda is economic interests, and it's the corporations that are deciding what are the economic interests.